Hello guys, welcome back, and today I'm going to be talking about the Hart Trophy and who I think will win the award this season. Now I'm going to be listing my top 5 picks. If I was an analyst, these are the top 5 players I would pick. Then I'm going to go for my predictions, my top 5 predictions on who I think will actually win. Then we'll go through the honorable mentions. And depending on your definition of the award, it could go a lot of ways. It's the most valuable player to their team. McDavid is probably the winner, but if you like your team and you like that player to be on a playoff team and to have a successful team around him, then you'd have your different results there, and it's a lot about how you perceive the award. So I'm gonna go more leaning towards both, but again, there's no wrong answer there. Now at number 5 on my picks, I have Connor McDavid, 41 goals, 67 assists, and 108 points. Of course, getting another Art Ross, and he's leading the entire league in points. And of course, this is where your definition of, do you want your player to be on a playoff team? Do you want your player to be on a successful team? Because you'd have McDavid, at least not in your top 5. And McDavid, I think, definitely deserves to be top 5 worthy, in my opinion. But again, it is all about your preference. What do you go into when you talk about the Hart Trophy? Is the most valuable player? Then McDavid is probably number 1, but do you want your player to be around a successful team? Then McDavid probably isn't going to be on there, but in my definition, I kind of merge the two, as I don't really care too much if the team makes playoffs, but again, it is all about the player here, and most valuable to the team as well, but again, playoffs do matter somewhat, so McDavid is in that category of not really on a playoff team, of course, with the Oilers, but again, is the best player in the world, probably, and of course, he's been fantastic this season on an Oilers team that is pretty down in the dumps, so I guess that he can really get a pass on this one, but again, he gets 108 points on the Oilers team. He has to get congratulated at least somehow, some way. I mean, just 108 points on that team. That's something else. Again, McDavid could be out of your top 10 if you want a player that would lead a team to the playoffs, and if you do not care too much about that, like I do, McDavid would probably be a lot higher up. It's, again, how you read it. But at number 4, I have Graviteh on the LA Kings. 35 goals, 57 assists for 92 points, and he's been a fantastic renaissance player this season. He's really revived his career after a slow year last season. He's a lot better this season offensively. He had a great start and has been steady in the second half too, and has played fantastic. Of course, still great defensively, and he would be one of the higher up guys in the Selke. I don't know if I'll make a video on that or not, but Kopitar, I think, is one of the players leading a team to the playoffs, and he's been one of the major key pieces in the LA Kings getting back to the playoffs, and I think he definitely deserves to be in my top 5 and a lot of other people's, as Kopitar has really led that team to the playoffs, and he's done fantastic. A lot of players on the LA Kings team have had a bit of a resurgence, and I do think that Kopitar is one of the reasons for the LA Kings being so successful this season, and he's at number 4 just because of that reason. At number 3 on the Philadelphia Flyers, I have Claude Giroux, 34 goals, 68 assists, leading the league in assists for 102 points, getting over that 100-point mark. And he's been one of the main reasons for the Flyers. Again, resurgence like Kopitar on the Kings. The Flyers have had a massively successful season, at least top-heavy offense. Has been amazing that season with Voracek, Couturier, and Giroux. They've been fantastic, and Giroux having another bounce-back season. Again, like Kopitar, you can see the resemblance there. He's just been fantastic, and he wasn't really the assist guy earlier in the season. The duties were really to Voracek, but Giroux had an amazing second half on that standpoint. He was just racking up those assists, and he was the goal scorer early in the season, but in the second season, he just turned into an assist machine, and he's one of the main reasons the Flyers played that and got that playoff berth. And Giroux, just a phenomenal season, one of the best in his career, and he definitely deserves to be up there. And in my opinion, he's a top 3 Hart candidate, and I think that he has led that team to the playoffs, and for how well he's done in the second half, I think he needs to be. At number 2 on the New Jersey Devils, I have Taylor Hall, 39 goals, 54 assists, 93 points, and he was like 40 points above the next leading goal scorer. I think it was Hischier, or point scorer, never mind, but I think he was like 30 or 40 points above Hischier. That is just amazing, and that must mean that he's getting a lot of unassisted goals, a lot of unassisted points, and he's just been doing fantastic. He's one of the main reasons for New Jersey getting in the playoffs and keeping hold of that spot in the second half, and Hall has just been fantastic throughout the whole season, just consistently fantastic, and he is one of the main sole reasons I thought the New Jersey Devils are where they are. Of course, getting traded from Edmonton, Pietrzelli is really not liking that trade, and especially if Hall wins the Hart, that won't look good for Edmonton at all, but just a Hart qualifying season, and besides this one guy who I have next, Hall definitely deserves to be up there, and I think that he is no-brainer for any person's top 5. He's just been one of the key players to lead New Jersey to the playoffs and probably just carrying that squad altogether on offense. He's just been unbelievable. The plays that he's able to make in games, he's just amazing. And I think that he definitely deserves to be in any Hart conversation because the things that he's done this season are just incredible. At number 1, the Colorado Avalanche, the guy I'm wearing on the back of my jersey, Nathan MacKinnon, 39 goals, 58 assists for 97 points. And he missed about 10 games or so for, I think he had like injury, I don't remember where it was, but he missed about 10 games or so in that second half. And even with that, he's leading above Taylor Hall, he's leading above Kopitar, he's leading above a lot of these guys. And MacKinnon missing out on games, again, was fantastic in those games that he played. He really made the most of them. And what really put him as solidifying for my number 1 spot, at least, was the Colorado versus St. Louis game, the last game for both of those teams to decide who would get that last wildcard spot. Nathan MacKinnon, I think, scored at least a goal or two, and the goal that he scored was amazing. And he was amazing in that game, getting a lot of chances, and overall, it's just every single game, it seems like he's in. For the Colorado Avalanche, he's a difference maker, and that's the biggest thing for me. For Hart, it's not about most valuable player or on a team that makes the playoffs. It's about who is the biggest difference maker for a team that, you know, is going to have success, but it doesn't really make it too great. So I think that having a difference player, a clutch player, is probably the best epitome of a Hart contender. And for me, MacKinnon is that, and he's that in every single way. I mean, whenever you'd watch a Colorado Avalanche game, he was a presence. He was probably one of the best players on that team, and he showed up for every single game. And I think he deserves to be my number 1. I think for a lot of people, that's going to be the same choice too. Now for my predictions, I think number 5 will be Giroux. I think he'll go kind of under the radar, even though he finished second in points in the season. I think he will go pretty underrated. Now number 4, I have Kucherov. Now on my list, if I had made a top 10, Kucherov would probably be number 6. But he's had a fantastic season. Kind of slowed down a tiny bit in the second half, but again, kind of had a still great second half, but a lot slower than his first half, where he was just incredible. But I think he'll go at number 4. Either number 4 or number 3. But at 3, I have MacKinnon. I think that he'll go to the top of the list. I'll have number 2 at McDavid. I think that the points that he got in winning the Art Ross for the second year in a row will sway the voters there. I think he will get the top 2. And number 1, I think Hall will get the most recognition, as he led that team to the playoffs, and the gap between first and second on that New Jersey team, Hall being the first, that's just, I think there's going to be too much to sway the eyes. I think that's going to be the mainstay for Hall to get that award. I think that is going to propel him to that. I think that Hall will win that. Will win the Hart. Now, I don't necessarily agree him being second on my list, but I think that Hall definitely would deserve it if he got it. Now for the honorable mentions, we'll just skim through this. We got Malkin, who was one of my top guys, but kind of slowed down for the last couple of weeks of the season, so he kind of dropped down for me, but wouldn't be in my top 10. Wheeler, who has a fantastic season for the Jets. Marchand, who, again, could be in that top 5 if voters really like him, which I don't think is really possible, so I think Marchand would be in the outside looking in. And then you got Panarin, who has one of the best points per total for the team. I mean, for Columbus, he's doing fantastic, and he really solidifies himself as a great player. It wasn't a product of Kane. He's a fantastic player for Columbus, and he's done well by himself. And you got Stahl, who is just a resurgence. I already talked about him in another video, but Stahl having an amazing season for Minnesota, one of the main reasons that they're in the playoffs and where they are right now. And last but not least, Barkov, who is one of the main reasons why the Florida Panthers had that second half resurgence. He was doing fantastic in the first, but still fantastic in the second half, and he was one of the biggest reasons why the Florida Panthers were even close to the playoffs to begin with. Probably a Selke Trophy finalist, if not one of the top 3. I think that he'll definitely be recognized as a Selke Trophy winner. If I do end up making a video on it, he'll probably be high up. But Barkov, just a fantastic all-around player. Definitely deserves to get mentioned here. But just a stacked Hart class, man. There's so many options and so many brilliant picks. I mean, if you went with guys like Malkin as your first, I wouldn't really be mad, because there's so many fantastic options to go with this season, and there's so many different possibilities. I mean, this list isn't correct because I'm always wrong, but there's just so many options and so many ways you can put a list together, and that's fantastic with the NHL, because it's just a fantastic Hart situation where there's just so many wide open options. But tell me down below what your top 5 are for the Hart Trophy and who you have winning the Hart. But that's going to, guys. Like, subscribe, and not ring that bell, and tell me down below again what your top 5 is, who you think will win the Hart, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.